Welcome to NVZG Gaming. I haven't played Outriders since the update, and everyone says that everything got fucked up, especially incoming and outgoing damage. So I was wondering, on my first round through, how much it's changed. And that got me thinking about my build, and my build's kind of weird. I don't have any end of tree bonuses, but I doubled down on the vulnerability plus 40% more effectiveness times 2, so that's 80% more effectiveness if they're affected by freeze or toxin, which inflicts vulnerable right away. And last time I played, I didn't really notice the damage increase, so I did a little bit of math, and I just wanted to make a quick video to see if vulnerable is in fact still working, or if it ever worked at all. Now, given my weird skill tree, I have a few extra points into anomaly power, meaning my cryo turret does 7,600 damage, and I do have the mod on for cold snap that does roughly 30,000 damage. My gear's only level 49, so it could be better. But that is what I'm going with for my math. So, if vulnerable is just working, it should be 25% more extra damage to that enemy no matter where the source of the damage. And I'm just using the in-game guides as a guide. Right here, in-game, says vulnerable increases the damage received by 25% for 10 seconds. Which means I am going to just do the Wendigo on World Tier 10. I think I should be able to handle this with just the cryo turret. I'm picking infested creatures, or flesh creatures, because I don't think they have a whole lot of armor and shouldn't skew my numbers too much.
Might as well put my skills to good use.
25%. My math was, if you get 80% of that, that's 20%. And that my math was, correct me if I'm wrong, my math was taking 25%, 10% of that is 2.5. Multiply that by 8, you're looking at 20. Add that together with the 25, you're looking at 45% more damage. Now, if my turret, which currently does 7,658 damage, gets a 25% bonus, that's 1914 more damage, so we'd be looking at 9,572. Or, if I got a 45% bonus, which is 3,446, I would get 11,000 damage total. So I'm just going to hide behind some cover or something and just chuck my grenades around. And if they do 7,600 damage, then there is no damage bonus. If they do 9,000 damage, I'm getting 25%. But if they do 11,000 damage, I get 45% bonus. I'm also going to use my cold snap if I get into trouble, so that's going to be 30,000 damage by itself, plus the 45% should be 13,500 more damage, meaning 43,500 damage. Let's go check it out. As soon as some fucking enemies come in. 3,000, 3,000, 3,000. I'm seeing 4,000, 3,000. They're not even doing full damage, so enemies at World Tier 10 either have armor that I'm not calculating for, or because they're on World Tier 10, my damage got skewed, so I'm going to have to probably start this video over on, or, you know what, I won't have to start it over, let's just up the difficulty a bit. My maximum is 14, but I don't know how well this is going to go. I haven't played much. Oh! Wait a second. I have 15 unlocked? Oh, duh, I'm thinking of expeditions. I'm an idiot. Again, it's been a while. $6,000, 13, 7,000, 6,000, 6,000. 6,000, 4,000. The The damage is all over the place. I can't tell what the hell's going on. The enemies are taking 7,000 damage with vulnerable on. So I'm thinking this doesn't work. 7,000 damage should be the bottom. With vulnerable, it should come up to 11. So these are taking 6,000, 13,000. Sometimes it will jump up to 13, but most of the time it's around 6 or 7. 7. I think they put a resistance bonus on everything, but that's still doing 6,000 damage roughly. 3,000, but that has armor. It seems that the vulnerability only works for a few seconds, even though my status power is through the friggin' roof. 4, 13. Yeah, I only see maybe one hit of vulnerability per enemy. Because those were doing 13, those were doing like 13,000 damage only once on every enemy. The rest of the time it was 6,000 to 7,000. So now, let's change the skill tree and get rid of those 2 nodes. So I'm not going to have vulnerability on either of these, and I'm going to compare the footage, well, best I can anyway. So I went down, but I didn't use that. Trying to remember my build. This one is for freeze lasting longer. Oops. Whatever. Okay, and I have 4 nodes that I'm not using, so vulnerable will not be on anything. And let's see if there is a difference. I would run the same mission, but I can't with the nature of hunts. But I will find another flesh or monster camp to destroy. It makes me wonder with vulnerable if it only does that on a critical hit or it just has a chance of getting that, because if vulnerable does as the game describes, I'm getting all distracted now. If the game follows through on what it's saying about vulnerability, it should be as long as vulnerability is active on that enemy, all damage they receive is bumped up by 45% if you have the build that I had, which now I don't have that build. So let's see if I still get those 6,000 and 7,000 damage bonuses. And if it jumps up to 13 randomly. If it doesn't, then at least vulnerability is good for the occasional bit of damage.
Well, this should be interesting. Might as well put my skills to good use.
I just pray I'm going the right way. Thank God. Okay. So 7,000 is how much my damage should be right now on the turret. We are looking for more like 11,000. It's odd that it would sometimes crit for 13,000 on the last run. Yeah, we got the same damage, 7,658. Trying to get by with just using the turret, so my data isn't skewed. 4,000, 5,000, 5,000, 10,000, 11,000, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000, 10,000, 5,000. So on my last run I was getting about 6,000 to 7,000 and occasionally 13,000 with vulnerable build. This is still hitting for 10,000 with no vulnerability nor vulnerability buff. I am getting an extra maybe 1,000 to 2,000 per basic hits. Even here, 5,000, 11,000, 5,000. 11,000 again. They seem to just crit sometimes, and 11,000 was still the ceiling when I was getting that damage on the vulnerable build. And my vulnerable build is supposed to do 45% extra damage. Alright, well, I think that kind of answers that question. Vulnerable is broken on this game. 7,000, 10,000, 11,000. And 11 and 13,000 was the ceiling that I was getting with the build that was built around vulnerability with 45% vulnerability effectiveness. All I'm missing out on is the occasional 1,000 damage, and my math says that it should be significantly different. So to recap, on my last build, I had Frost and Poison both put vulnerability on a target, and each of them increase its effectiveness by 40%, making it 80% total. I only used my cryo turret to do this, well, math, and I'm looking at 7,000 damage base. Obviously, enemies have a little bit of armor, so they might reduce that damage by maybe 1,000 or 2,000, meaning they were still taking about 5,000 damage without a vulnerability build. But with a vulnerability build, I was getting maybe 7,000, meaning that vulnerability only gave me roughly 1,000 to 2,000 more damage, which works for my math. 25% of 7,600 is 1,900, so we're looking at 25% damage buff with a vulnerability build. Meanwhile, those two nodes that amplify vulnerability say that it's supposed to be 80% more effectiveness, meaning 45% total, and that would be 7,600 plus 45%, which is 3,400, would mean 11,000 base damage. I was only ever getting 11,000 base damage after that on the occasional, I guess, critical hit, and that was based on having a vulnerability build and not having a vulnerability build. The highest damage I saw was 13,000, and it wasn't very often. And that I got 11,000 on both the vulnerability build and not the vulnerability build. Therefore, I guess this is a PSA to tech out there. Those two nodes that amplify vulnerability by 45% don't work. I just did 2 test runs, both on World Tier 15, and the math does not add up. Those 2 nodes that amplify vulnerability do not work. Just another thing to add to the things that are wrong with this game. Alright, well, thanks for watching. I just wanted to do a quick test run, and I was right about vulnerability. Thanks for watching the broken fucking game. It amazes me how they keep fucking this up. And you know what? Just add a skip scene, or a skip button for the opening scene. And then maybe fix little things in your game like vulnerability. Alright. Thanks for watching. This was Not Very Zen Gaming. Later.